Optimism is not the absence of feeling real emotion. So whether that's pain and real work, that's effort, and the kind of the sweat that comes and tears sometimes that comes with that, or even, I'll say I have this bubble and protecting my happiness, but that doesn't mean that I'm not extremely sad and overwhelmed at times. I do think that we have to feel all the emotions and give a space for it. The length of time that I give for those things are pretty short.
I don't care if it's your personal life, your professional life, if it's your family, like fun is so important. And I think some people dismiss that. And I'm like, fun should be a priority in our life.
And we have to make it a priority.
Yeah. We spend our life telling people, find your person. And they said, find your people. And I love that. I believe in that. Like, find your people. It doesn't have to be an either or. It can be a both and. Like, find your person and find your people. Where do you think your optimism comes from?
I really give credit to God. I mean, it's just a gift. I mean, it truly, I believe, for me, is a gift. And I think, though, that the more we recognize our gifts, then we can cultivate them. So, like, what can be given to us as there's the parable in the scriptures of the talents.
I was just going to say that. I'm not even kidding
that you can go bury your talent
Yeah.
and not do anything with it, or you can grow it and multiply it. So I feel like we're all given these gifts. There's a chapter dedicated to understanding your uniqueness and your gifts, and hopefully inspiring people to seek for and understand what they are. And it's a lifetime process and pursuit.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Pretty Sister Podcast. I'm your host, Callie Stoyer, and I am so happy that you're here today. This is a conversation and a podcast dedicated to friendship, to sisterhood, to bringing joy and confidence to you. And we are going to have another fantastic conversation that will help along those lines. And today, I'm coming to you. We're having this great conversation at my cabin at Moose Lake Ranch in Maine. I am here doing some projects, some work, and I had the most delightful surprise that I want to tell you about. And that is that my friend Angela Smith, who I haven't seen for we decided at least over a decade, if not longer. That's been that long since I've lived here. Reached out because of my new book, Think Pretty, that she ordered. In fact, grab the book. She has it sitting right here.
I brought it to get it signed.
Yes, I know. Look how exciting this is. She got my book and she reached out and she's like, "You're in town. Let's talk." And I'm so grateful for a few reasons. One, it's so good to see you.
So good to see you.
And second, I'm so thankful that you did find the book and that you are supporting me and you bought the book. And I was telling her too, this is coming here to Maine, my other friend Nikki had a stack of books when I arrived, which was really delightful. And then you show up with this book. And these are the first girls who have brought the book for me to see for the first time, actually, because the copy that I have at my house has this ribbon across it that says not for resale. It's the proof that was sent to me. Yeah. And then I ordered a box for me to have that hadn't arrived yet when I left to come to Maine. And so I'm seeing my book for the first time in Maine, which is kind of fun.
Well, I think it's a perfect place for you to see it because as I share, like I remember this was born here, maybe beforehand, but I mean, I remember sitting with you. This book has been inside of you for a long time.
Yeah.
So when I saw that you came out with it, I was so excited for you because I know this story has been inside of you for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So special. Well, I'm so glad you reached out and that she wanted to catch up. And of course, I wanted to share this conversation with all of you. So I said, sure, come to the cabin. Let's talk. And can we record a podcast while we do it? So we're going to catch up, Pretty Sister style, of a friendship that has been in the making for 20 plus years, that we haven't seen each other in a long time. And I believe that friends like this, I'm getting choked up just thinking about it, that they are special because you can go long periods of time without seeing somebody, but you just have things in common. And you, if we were to like net out how much time we've spent together, it hasn't been a lot through our life.
No.
We met because we had our boys in preschool together.
Yeah, they were now 22.
They were 3. I want to say that cute little school that was on the ocean, on the waterfront in Maine. That's where we met. And then they didn't even go to school together. We were in
No.
different school districts. So they didn't stay friends, but we did.
We did.
We as moms stayed friends. But just our paths never were super close because our boys were in different school systems. We weren't in church together. Like, we weren't in all the circles that would put someone together.
Right.
And so we just were acquaintances.
Yeah.
But I tell you, every time we did get together, it just felt deep and
really
real.
Did. And I think, it's our where we were in our life wasn't maybe close, but our beliefs were close.
Yes.
Like, I think we all always really shared our values and a belief in story and the importance of friendship. And we were just grounded in things that I think, I mean, it's going to sound crazy, but I was driving up here today and I was thinking, we've spent not a lot of time together, but I feel like if either one of us ever needed anything and we picked up the phone, the other person would be there in a heartbeat.
Yes.
Like, those are the kind of people that you want to spend time with. And, I feel like I curate my life. And one of the things I do is I collect people.
Yeah.
And like, you're the kind of person that when you meet, you just hold on to. And it doesn't matter if I see you once a decade, like, there's just something really special about our friendship.
Oh, I love that. So again, I wanted to share this with you because I feel like maybe you listeners have friends like this that you can relate to, and or maybe you can seek out friendships like this, or maybe just by having some awareness of what it is and what it looks like will help you understand what could be there for you and the blessings of these types of friendships and connections that are worth the hour drive to sit down and connect, because this female connection is powerful. Yeah. So, okay, let's do some catch up.
Okay.
Just, this is real, raw, authentic catch up because we haven't talked for a long time.
We haven't.
So tell me what the past decade has been like for you. Let's just have some good girl chat.
Yeah, the past decade has been a lot of change. And, I one of the things I appreciate about you and the sisterhood is I have 2 brothers and I have 3 sons. I don't have that in my life, but girlfriends are so important to me. I'm still best friends with my 2 college best girlfriends, and then spent time as a Navy spouse and had really special Navy girlfriends. And that just continued to evolve, that girlfriends are really very important to me, one of my big priorities.
And especially when you are surrounded by boys, right? Not to take, I always do say, I have sons and I have a husband. Like, I love men and boys too, because I can come across as just a girl's girl. Yeah. Because there's a special, I mean, of course, in fact, I know your sons are so sweet and they're your world. And I feel the same way about mine. And I've been wanting to actually get them on the podcast. Yeah. And they've teased me. They're like, you've got to get more followers or more listeners. Like, they hold it as a carrot down the road, Mom. And I know they're just kicking that can it's far down the road. They're like, I'm not going on a Pretty Sister Girl podcast. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because when I looked at this last night, and I just got the book, and I'm finishing another book, The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter, which is a great book. But last night I opened it at midnight, and I just looked quickly, and I had 2 initial thoughts. One was, if you had books here today, I was going to buy a bunch because I want to give these out to my girlfriends. And so my second thought was, I really want my sons to read this. So I think, yes, we talk about it. It's an
insight into the woman's soul.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. It's like you talk about it within the context of girlfriends, but these things, friendship, confidence, and joy, I mean, there's not boundaries. Like, our boys need this too. Yeah. So that was a very quick thought for me, that they could read this book and still get so much out of it.
Well, it actually, I'm proud of this endorsement. Fraser Bullock said, and he's the executive chair and president of the 2034 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. He's an amazing person. But, it doesn't say it on this. It says it in the book. In his endorsement, he does say that it's a book for, I want to get the quote right here. Where is this? He says, one of my favorite quotes from the book is, happiness is not an external condition, but an internal choice. Think Pretty is not just for women, but for anyone seeking a better life.
Yeah. I thought that right away.
He's kind of the one token male endorsement I had in there. But, yeah, when he and I talked about it, he said, this is, I mean, he understands it's a female, based book, but he's like, it's for everyone.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm the principles in here, the 5 beliefs that are in here, they really are gender neutral in every way.
They really
it's
are.
just wrapped in the context of sisterhood and friendship, mostly because of the pretty sister nickname I was given as a child.
Yeah.
And so the whole book is a nod to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, share it with your boys. That's awesome.
And I mean, so I one of the big changes in my life in the last decade is I got divorced. Everyone is very amicable and peaceful, and it was, everyone's in a good place.
Yes, good.
But
although that's a hard thing to go through.
It's a very hard thing to go through. I don't wish it upon anyone.
Yes.
But
and
would
I'm
also
so
probably exaggerate how important my friendships are with my girlfriends, right? I read a book, this was years ago, it was called Big Friendship. And one of the lines that really struck me was, it says, we spend our life telling people find your person, or our kids from the ground up, find your person, find your person. And they said, find your people. And I love that. Like, I took so much, I believe in that. Like, find your people. It doesn't have to be an either or, it can be a both and. Like, find your person and find your people. But it goes back to, like, there's so much strength and joy in finding your people. And that's where I go back to, like, how I said I curate my friends like you. I collect my people. And that was something I think that really helped carry me through that. I'm very, very tight with my 3 boys who are now 22, 20, and 16, which is crazy. I continue to do work in storytelling and consulting, and still, try to work with purpose-driven companies. And am getting into, I think, a more creative space in my life. But life is good. Yeah. And I still I really, Maine is such home to me. So really love being here. And I can see why you come back.
I know. It's a very special, beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's so fun to come back. And not just for the landscapes and the ocean and the lake and the lobsters, but for the people.
Yeah.
Because really life is truly about people. And I love how you said how you collect them, because we have different seasons and times of life. I write about it in the book, I've got my Boston friends and my high school friends and my college friends, and I have my Maine friends. It's just everywhere I go, friendship has been integral for me to survive. I'll say that it's a strong word, but truly it's been part of my survival, is to not get through life by myself. And I think you can, because plenty of people do get through life a little bit more gritting their teeth and on their own, and not in a tribe or a circle of friendship. But I will say I'm a very happy person. And a lot of the reason why I wrote this book is because I am very happy. Even when life and terrible things are happening to me or around me, I still have this resilient way of staying happy. And I think it's because I protect it so much and I value it so much, but I also know some tricks and some hacks. And I would say the number one hack, and this is why I wrote the book, and it's not just for me, it's like I want everybody to know this, that you can be so much happier if you will allow people in, if you will spend time cultivating and developing relationships and get through it together. Because it's now you're not just relying on you and your own strengths and your own abilities, but you're bringing in other people to bring you so much joy. I mean, even, I'm here on a work trip, so I've been working this week and not miserable, but I will say I arrived. I always get so excited to come. And then we showed up, and then the first thing I do is I walk around, because this is a large cabin resorty place that we rent out when we're not here, because we don't live close. So it would just be a cabin in the woods sitting here. So instead, also being the business entrepreneurial person I am, I'm going to, of course, take this asset and have it make money, not just sit here. So I run this business of this cabin and it, but part of it is we got to upkeep it. and I have a caretaker that can only do so much without my input. So when I do come, the first thing I do is I walk around and take sort of an inventory to see what needs attention and what we need to do. And I literally, the first day I got here, I walked around and I was super overwhelmed. I was like, oh my gosh, we only have a few days. I'm so glad nobody came with me because I had invited some friends to come enjoy it with us, but there's just too much work to do. I was like, oh, I'm so glad they didn't come because we have too much work to do.
Yeah.
And let's just sell the cabin because I don't want to do this work. Like I was like, I can't even. And I know this happens to you where life feels so overwhelming and where there's so much to do. And we have moments of crisis, which I'm sure like your divorce was one of those seasons of life or any life transition, a move, hard things happen and we want to throw in the towel. Like we want to just forget it, burn the house down. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But then what I did is I'll make lists when I'm overwhelmed like that. And I just think I don't want to do this. I make lists and you just have to get to work. Like getting to work and action is such a good hack too. And I write about it in here. You just have to move forward. So we wrote lists, we started doing things. We just slowly tackle. But here's why I brought this up though. You reached out and it was just like, oh, Angela's going to come visit me. And she's willing to drive out here because I do want to have some social fun time. I didn't want to just work, but I kind of was in the middle of it.
Making the time, it makes it even more special.
But I love how my friends show up for me. Like you reached out. I had another friend. I don't know if she's going to come, but she also reached out, Gail. But just saying like, oh, I'll come to you and then we can catch up. And it's just like, oh, enough. Like a little prize I can have of some connection to make it fun and joyful. So women can bring so much joy and support to you. And then also that hard work. Like finally, it was last night that we paused and I sat on the deck for a second and I just like took in the hard work, the pride that I felt of, oh, I fixed this like slowly and surely. I've made it beautiful again. Yeah. And I just want to sit and enjoy it for a second. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, we don't need to sell the cabin anymore. Like I'm okay. We can do this. And that's what some hard work can do for you. Like if you just put your shoulder to the wheel and get it done. And of course I have support and people that I've brought in to help. Yeah. But then you get to enjoy it. And the fruits of your labor. Yeah. But friendship and sisterhood is such a part of it for me.
Yeah. And I want to touch on three things you mentioned. Okay?
Perfect. Let's do it.
So one is you talked about life hacks. I put a lot of thought into that and I want to talk about that and I'll share a little and then get your response.
Yes. No, I want all your tips.
Then I want to talk a little bit about like you talked about like kind of being in that hard place. And I want to talk about that. And then I want to talk about joy.
Okay.
Right? Because
I love this.
Joy
aren't you glad that we're recording this?
Is like if I had to kind of come up with one word, well, probably to summarize my life, but also our friendship. And how I said we share beliefs, I think at the core of it is joy. Yeah. Okay. So life hacks. So for my middle son's 18th birthday, I gave him 18 ordinary gifts to get through this extraordinary, beautiful, messy life.
Oh, I love this idea.
And they were life hacks in a way. Because I realized my kids come to me. They're very good about that. But what I realized is I'm not great in the moment. Yeah. And a lot of times I will process and reflect after, and I don't necessarily circle back. But he was having a tough time. And in my processing, I realized I have so many little life hacks or little talisman or little things that I draw on for strength. And I hadn't necessarily shared them. So,
and here he is turning 18 like an adult. And you're like, I got to get all these nuggets in there.
I gave him, I got a fish, like a tackle box, and I got miniature things of everything. So like there was a mug, there was a lily pad, there were these different things. And then I wrote up what each one meant.
This is so cute. This is a good idea. Everybody pay attention.
I really love this.
We can borrow this gift idea,
turn
right?
it into something.
Yes.
But like, I'll just give you like one example. It was a lily pad. So I had heard, it was a podcast once, and I'm going to blank on her name, but she's a spiritual professor at Duke. And I was listening to her podcast. Her first name was Kate. And she talked about how, you know, we have like, imagine yourself being on a lily pad and you're grounded and you're good. And then all of a sudden you start to like waver, right? And you're like, oh, you don't feel so steady on your lily pad. And you get this image of, wait, there's a lot of lily pads around me. I'll just leap to another lily pad. And you might be one of my lily pads. A book might be one of my lily pads. Dancing might be one of my lily pads. But
see, we are so similar, because dancing would definitely be
yes,
my
but I
lily pad.
love this idea of like, we don't always have to feel, you know, balanced and perfect, and we can turn to your lily pads. So I just gave him 18 of these concepts, life hacks. So before I go to my next one, I want to know, like, what would be a couple of your life hacks, or a couple of the things you go to when you need to?
Oh my gosh, I would say the book is full of them. But really quick, before I answer that, how did he like them? I just am dying to know. Because this could be like a more girly thing. You could have a boy to be like, thanks, Mom. I actually really wanted a car.
No,
did he understand that this was
yes.
so from the heart? Will this be something he treasures? Please tell me.
Yes, it was. So I had each item, and then I had flashcards. And then I had it written out, like an essay about each
I'm going to make sure, I don't know which language you want to receive this in, but you're going to.
Well, do you want to like be able to stick it in your pocket? So it was really
Such
great.
a thorough mom.
I gave it to him and I read each one. And it was amazing. It was really, really special.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just feel like now he has these tools he can draw on, and they're gifts that I want to be able to give other people too. It's funny when you were talking about, like, a few minutes ago about getting active. I mean, one of my things was ing, and I put in Scrabble tiles, because sometimes it's like dancing or reading or hiking or whatever. So I was like, one of the other go-tos is like, find your ing and do it.
Yes. Oh, so that's great. Yeah. I mean, for sure, dancing. You know,
I know that you love dancing.
Yes, I do. There's a story in the book where I talk about one time, and this was like in the thick of it in Maine, probably right around the time that we met. When I had 5 little kids, I moved to Maine when it was 2 weeks before Bella was born, actually. I moved here and didn't even know where the hospital was.
Wow.
And I was a VBAC, so I was a high-risk pregnancy. And I remember my water broke, and I hadn't been to the hospital yet. Like, I just thought, like, there would be time to figure. I could see it, because, you know, you drive on the freeway and you see that off the road. So I was like, I know where it is. I've seen it off the road. But these old streets of Maine, or if you're in New England at all, the roads curve. They don't, it's not like, it's very tricky driving, because roads were made where the old carriage trails were.
And you didn't have your iMaps.
And we didn't, exactly. It was before iPhones. So you can't just get to places the way you can now. And I remember my water breaking and Dave being in Boston, a few hours away, working. Gosh. And I have all these little kids at home, and thinking, oh, okay, I'm sure I can get there. And I did have a sister in town. So she had who was there to help me for the birth, but she couldn't come, because it was like, well, I've got to get to the hospital, and someone has to stay with the kids. So you stay with the kids. I'll put a towel down.
Don't tell me you drove yourself to the hospital.
I didn't know anyone hardly yet.
Oh my gosh.
I'll drive to the hospital, and Dave will just have to leave work and meet me there.
Oh my gosh.
And so, but getting to the hospital off the main freeway, and I'd never been there before, was hard. And they didn't either have valet parking at the time, or I didn't understand. And anyway, I parked, I walked far. It was crazy. Oh my goodness. I don't know how that came up, other than this was a time in my life when it was cuckoo, and I had all these 5 little kids. And I remember, and I wrote this in the book, that I was at home, and it was just that bewitching hour of dinner time, and kids are going crazy, and they're hangry, and it's a mess. And Bella was a colicky baby, so she's crying, and I had my baby Bjorn on, and I was bouncing her, and I was crying, and I had music on loud, and I was also dancing. So Dave walks in the door, and he comes down the hall in the kitchen, and there's loud music, and there's a dancing wife. Like, I was just anger dancing almost, but there's a baby on my stomach, and I'm bouncing her, and I got just full crocodile tears coming down my face. And then the house is chaos, and there's food, and I'm like, whipping something up, and he's like, what do I do? Like, what's going on? Do I dance with you? Do I like what? I was like, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you okay? And it was just like, I'm all of it. Yeah. I'm all of it.
I mean, I think you can be both and, right?
Yes.
Like, I think it's like, I always say there's beauty and pain. Like, there's joy and sorrow go together. Like, it's all.
Yeah.
All right. I have a good dancing story.
Okay. Tell me.
So you might remember me talking about my friend Holly. Holly was one of my closest friends. She was a Navy wife. She's Peyton's godfather. But this July, it will be 20 years that she passed away from cancer.
Okay. I do remember now.
Yeah. And she battled for 5 years, and I would often go to chemo with her. And there was one day, our friend Jenny Burke was flying in to surprise her, or maybe she knew Jenny was coming. That morning, I slept over at Holly's. She had me put a flower tattoo on her head, which was one of the most humbling moments of my life. And I took her to chemo, and I think I had to go run errands or get Jenny or something. And I came back and I picked her up, and she leaned over and she said, I have to tell you something, but you can't tell anybody. And I'm like, okay. And she said, I was at chemo today, and like everyone was gloomy, and I was just sitting there and I couldn't take it anymore. So I got my little cart and I wheeled into the bathroom and I put on the Dixie Chick and I danced. And I leaned back over and I said, I am telling everybody I know that story. And I was just like, wow, like that's sometimes you dance in the hardest moments.
Yes, in the hardest moments, just to shift that perspective.
Yeah.
I love that. And I know that you are somebody who's very optimistic, right?
Yes.
Like you just have, I think that's what we connected on originally. You're just a happy person. Every time I saw you, just cheerful and happy and optimistic. And the more we talked and conversed, we realized we had that in common. I think it's a gift.
Yeah.
I know for me, I've learned to appreciate it. And I wrote about that, how I didn't understand it as a gift until later, or I didn't appreciate it until later in life, that I had the gift of cheerfulness.
Yeah.
Because not everybody has that gift, but since I do have it, and I believe you have it, we have to cultivate it, but also share it.
Yeah.
And maybe what comes natural to us as natural tendencies isn't coming natural to others. So like this idea of, oh, just dance might not be the first choice that other people have, but it really is helpful to choose it and to put it on. But okay, what I wanted to ask you though is you, if you don't mind talking about it, I thought of it when you talked about your friend, you had a brain tumor.
It wasn't a tumor. I have what is called a cavernous angioma. So yes, I had multiple brain bleeds and ultimately a stroke. And then
you had brain
I had a
surgery.
craniotomy. Yes, I did.
Because shortly after we met, I remember when you told me, it was like, what, you just recovered from brain surgery? I mean, you were just like not far past
and
it.
I had two babies.
And
I
you
had an 8-month-old and an 8-month-old and a 2-year-old.
Speaking of me driving with my water had broken, like that's nothing compared to what you were going through. You're like, that's a walk in the park. It's all perspective, right?
It is perspective.
But you had gone through so much, and this is what I remember about meeting you. You were so happy and so optimistic and so happily living your life with so much gratitude and poise that I was saying, tell me more, because I was going through a chaotic time. Like, help me see that and share some of that positivity with me. So you do have that naturally, and how, like, share some of those tips and what comes so naturally to you.
I mean, I think you talk about how grateful you are for it. Like, I think one of my prayers is often at Thanksgiving that, like, I'm so grateful that I was born an optimist. It really does come naturally to me. I think the older I get, the more I try to have a grounded optimism. It's still, it's eternal optimism, but also an acknowledgement that there is pain in this world and people do carry suffering. And it's not an optimism that is ignorant of that. But I am also a person, I suppose this is the optimist coming out, that I do see beauty in pain. And I do believe part of the human condition is suffering, and only through suffering can we experience joy. So when people are out there that are going through a hard time, I never just want to dismiss that, but I do try really hard to choose joy every day. I think it's a practice. I think it's a way of being and living. And one of the other, when I talked about like, oh, let's revisit some of this, the darkness or the hard times. So I take shadow shots a lot, like literally pictures of my shadow. Okay.
Oh, okay. Shadow. Okay. I was going to say, you're going to have to tell me what this is. I don't know, but But
I mean, God
photography
bless
pictures.
my boys because they're used to it now. I'll be like, stop, it's a shadow shot. And I just do it with my iPhone. I have about 800.
Wow.
Probably at least.
That's artistic.
And I've been doing it for a long time.
But it's fun that there's a message behind it.
Well, I didn't always know there was a message. It was just this inherent practice I had. And then I really thought about it and I realized, like, you know, your shadow is always with you. You know, your shadow requires sunshine. And I have this concept of a shadow that's resting, right? And this to me marks a shadow that needs renewal or that is in a painful place or that just kind of needs to lie flat because they're not in a season of joy. But still, I see beauty in that, right? So I have this image. It's actually like this artistic image of that shadow is completely black, okay? And then the shadow rises and stands tall, okay? And in my imagery, that shadow is a mosaic of black and white words. And those words are things like strength and courage and rising and standing tall, grounded, really rooted. And then the shadow takes flight and it's leaning and it's radiant. And that is an image of like a colorful collage. And it's about when you are growing and reaching and risen. So I have this like whole concept in my life of like being rooted and rising at the same time. And I guess the reason I bring that up with optimism is like that's a kind of a way I acknowledge. I mean, you talk about seasons in life so much, and I'm just a big believer in that. And I think like life is cyclical, right? Yeah. Like we're going to be rooted, we're going to rise, we're going to be radiant, and then we're going to go through it all over again. So that's an image that in a practice that I kind of
that's beautiful
sit with.
So deep. And
yeah.
So many layers to that.
Yeah. So many layers. I mean, it's so funny when you say that. That makes me think too, like so deep because I'm a pretty deep person. And I was getting, after my brain surgery, I did a year of acupuncture. And it saved me. Like I had a lot of pain. And it helped me get through. And I remember at one point my acupuncturist said, like, what's your animal? And I was like, well, you're going to laugh, but my animal's a monkey. And he was like, that makes complete sense. And I'm like, well, why does that make complete sense? And he said, because you need play in your life. Like that's
why you found me.
Yeah.
The eternal player.
You need, well, and it's so funny you say that because, you know, another thing I think we share in common, Callie, is fun. And I think fun is so important in life. Yeah. Like, even though I am a deep person, like, gosh, play and fun. Like, I don't care if it's your personal life, your professional life, if it's your family, like, fun is so important. Yeah. And I think some people dismiss that. And I'm like, fun should be a priority in our life.
And we have to make it a priority. Yeah. I mean, that would be another top hack. I play is probably as much as I work. Yeah. So my philosophy is work hard, play hard. Yep. And I'm very intentional about both things. I'm super intentional about my happiness. One of the imageries I have surrounding that is that I'm kind of in a bubble. And if people try to, you know, throw stuff at me, I've got a pretty good boundary surrounding my happiness. And I just, you know, other things can just bounce right off. It's not penetrate. What's that word? Penetrable. I can't. I'm tired. I've been working hard. Can't penetrate my bubble of happiness. But I work really hard, but see, work is joy for me. Yeah. You know, and it is painful and I will have I have some bruises from like moving furniture and, you know, like it's not, I love the nod that you gave to, kind of the realness of this optimism is not the absence of feeling real emotion. So whether that's pain and real work, that's effort and the kind of the sweat that comes and tears sometimes that comes with that, or even, you know, I'll say I have this bubble and protecting my happiness, but that doesn't mean that I'm not extremely sad and overwhelmed at times. I do think that we have to feel all the emotions and give a space for it. But I think what happens, at least for me, imagine for you too, is that the window I give, or the space, the length of time that I give for those things are pretty short. Like I said, I showed up here, I was overwhelmed. I was kind of like, burn the house down. Let's forget this. But then, I mean, I just had to say it. I had to give a moment to it. That frustration. I think Dave knows me well enough. He's like, okay, just kind of going along with it. And then we just both get to work and start to tackle it. And then all of a sudden everything gets better. Like work is my antidote to it. So I think the more you kind of get into this work play relationship and understand how they can work together, then you can have a lot of joy. And
where do you think your optimism comes from?
I really give credit to God. I mean, it's just a gift. I mean, it truly, I believe, for me, is a gift. And I think, though, that the more we recognize our gifts, then we can cultivate them. So like what can be given to us as I mean, there's the parable in the scriptures of the talents.
I was just going to say that. I'm not even kidding
that you can go bury your talent
Yeah.
and not do anything with it, or you can grow it and multiply it. So I feel like we're all given these gifts. There's a chapter dedicated to understanding your uniqueness and your gifts, and hopefully inspiring people to seek for and understand what they are. And it's a lifetime process and pursuit.
Yeah.
But the more you can start to really, truly love yourself and look for the things that make you you, and then cultivate them. And I believe that we cultivate and even magnify them the most, if we want to grow those talents, by sharing them with others and serving others. So if you're stuck and you're a little bit unsure, one of the tips I give is go serve, because you're going to serve with your natural gifts. And then people are going to thank you and recognize them and speak them back to you. And that will create some awareness, because what I might do to serve, I don't know, might be show up with like some music to have a dance party to cheer someone up. And I mean, that's just the way Callie's going to do it naturally, without giving much thought, to cheer somebody up. And somebody else is going to do something totally different. But when it resonates with somebody, they're going to speak that back to you. And then you're going to realize, oh, I'm good at that. And you're going to do more of it. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And like two things. One is, I seriously cannot believe I was sitting here thinking of the parable of the talents. And then you said it. Like, that is actually scary.
We're just so
you know, and I've always said to my boys, you know, the thing with the talents is like, you have a responsibility in this life to share those talents.
Or they're taken away.
And those talents can be... You know, I think people think of like a talent as like singing, or no, like there's talents can be like what you might think are very ordinary things, like smiling or just different things. And that's also when you talk about serving, you know, service. Yes, there's big service like a mission, or there's big service like I'm going to go work at the homeless shelter. There are so many ways. Opening a door for someone is service. You know?
You showing up today for me was service. Like this
when
was my joyful moment of my, this is my reward for my hard week of work, is you're serving me by caring and showing up with my book and cheering me up so much in the midst of my work week.
So, I mean, I think that's the thing for everyone should remember, is like service shows up in so many different ways. It's saying yes to people. And I know we both like, at the end of the day, like the more we talk today, I realize like how much we share in common. But like at the end of the day, it's all about people. Like that's what it comes down to.
You're gonna laugh when you read about, I give singing as the example too of like the talent that I wanted as a little girl, and didn't think I had any special gifts because I couldn't sing. And then it took me years and time of realizing, oh, that's just one gift. But my gifts aren't outward gifts like that. They're gifts that you have to, you know, the gift of cheerfulness, things that you don't really as a kid want. Like, no, I wanted to be a singer. I want to be a rock star. Come on.
So let's talk about joy.
Okay. Oh,
because
I
joy
could
is
do
like
it all day long. Let's do it.
Thing. Like I've said, like I've now for probably 15 years have said my purpose in life is to celebrate humanity, spread joy, and bring stories to life. Joy is like all. And I was like flipping through this book last night, right? And I came across Together We'll Create a World of Joy. And I'm like, this is the page that I want you to sign. Like, right? Like everybody signs that inside cover. I'm like, no, I want you to sign this. So I haven't read the book yet, but together we'll create a world of joy. I like that makes me want to just cry. Like, can you talk to me
Makes
about
us want to dance, have a dance party.
Yeah, and it's together. Like we're all in it.
Yeah.
But like, what does joy mean to you?
Oh, it's everything. It's so many things. Like I said, it's the work, it's the play, it's the relationships. It's just, I think we can find joy in the pain and the hardship and the suffering, because I believe those hard moments are given to us as gifts to develop us and to give us gifts of joy that will come through it, because we can't, we have to experience the opposition in all things to even appreciate, sitting in this cabin. This was, we built this years ago. So 18 years ago, when we built it, probably when we were too young and foolish to even try, and didn't even really have enough money to do it. But we did creatively do it and put a ton of work into it. And so it's a place of extreme work, and even family members and friends, anyone who was close to me at the time, like really also labored and put a lot of work into it. It was a labor of love. And then it's been continued to be a labor of love over the years, but it brings us so much joy. Right? And so it's always in those oppositions. I'll sit here with like my sisters, one in particular that lived on the East Coast when I built it. So she would bring her family. She lived in Virginia, Becky, and she would come down with her family on their vacations and put her kids to work. And so we'd all just kind of have these, for the year that we were building it, these family work vacations. And we'd give kids a paintbrush and say, okay, stain that wall, and you do this and you do that. And we all just collectively worked together. And she had young kids and I had young kids, and we were teaching them the value of work. So we were kind of happy to do it, like happy to have a project to come together that we knew would bring us so much joy in the end. And we've had family reunions here and so many fun things. But we sit here, and even their kids sit and they look at the wall. I stained that door. I stained that post. I remember refinishing that floor. I remember tiling that whatever. And it's just that pride in the work that we do is so joyful. So again, yes, I love to go on vacations, and I love to sit poolside and relax and those types of things, which I think intuitive, or just the knee-jerk thought is that some of that is all the joyful stuff. But I love to sit and cry with a friend over their problems, you know, and deeply connect. And I love to, again, work. And so it just comes in all ways. I think the miracle happens when you start to recognize it. And as a practice, learn to recognize it and start to see yourself not as life is happening to me, but life is happening for me. And when you believe that and understand that all things come together for your good, then the friendships can work for your good. The trials can work for your good. Everything can be an experience that you can harvest, because everything that's happening is what is. So the key is you don't resist. You get more in the flow. And just look at what is and harvest the joy.
Trust the unfolding.
And you just have to get good at harvesting the joy, because you can learn the lessons and let go of what you can't change, and then harvest the joy and the good that comes from it, the lessons.
I once heard the quote, happiness is fleeting, joy is sustaining. And I love that. And I think joy is sustaining is like that whole, like even in the hard places, like joy sustains you. Like
it's a deeper, more rooted word of what means happiness. But
okay, so we started off that you asked me like kind of what's the last decade look like, and I love that this is just a real conversation, because like we're
all over the place, but
like
it's good.
What's your life like look like in the last 10 years? Like we both, for one thing, have raised kids from little kids to big adults, like real people. What's your journey been like over the last 10 years?
Oh boy, it has been a journey, right? Life is just a big journey, and it's been one filled with ups and downs. I think like everybody, no one's free of trials and hardships that come, whether that's been illness that we've had in different parts of the family, and surprise things, surprise illnesses. In fact, we were on the road doing an RV trip, and then my daughter Sophie kept getting sick, and I kept, I don't know, I'm kind of a little bit of a hard mom in the sense of like, brush it off, you're fine. Like it'll, like I don't, I'm not an alarmist. but after several episodes, finally, she's like, Mom, you've got to take me to the hospital. Like, there's something wrong with me, you crazy mom, you know? No, I wasn't crazy. But I did take her to the hospital because obviously it became acute and she had a tumor and we had to deal with that and we had to stop our RV trip, you know? And she's fine. It was all fine. A couple surgeries and fine, but a disruption to our plan, you know? So I think those things, you know, whether it was that or a myriad, I mean, several kids have had surgeries, but just the thick of it, of raising kids and then the move and then business ventures of, we've had some be successful and some completely crash. And so one thing that a thought that sticks in my mind regarding that and finances is the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And I've experienced that in great measure where we've had things and then we've lost things. And then I've gotten to see there's a lot of sorrow that comes from that or lack of understanding in the moment. But then when you get to work and build something again, you realize that money and wealth doesn't truly matter, although it's helpful, but that you can create things again, you know? Yeah. And that there's a lot of joy that comes from that and resilience and just learning who you are when you can.
Yeah. You have to trust the
when you can lose and then recreate. Yeah. So I would say to any of you listening, you're probably just like we've been through it, right? One of the reasons I do this podcast is I feel like, okay, I've now earned the right to share. Yeah. Yeah. Not that, I mean, you can when you're young too, but I think for years I was in the thick of it, whether that was just putting my heart and soul into business activities, raising kids. I think there was just, you know, I put this whole pretty sister concept on hold for many years, almost 20 years. Yeah. Before bringing it back because I feel like I have the time now and I want to help. Yeah. I want to share some of these lessons. There's so many of them. Yep. And I feel like we can help each other. Yeah. You know, like that quote in there, together we create a world of joy. Yeah. We really do. And I feel like we are meant to have joy. Like we're here on this earth and we are born with this right to have joy. That's part of the purpose of life. And that's why God created so many beautiful things and, you know, on this earth. I've said this before, but my friend's husband who loves to travel, and we were traveling with him and I was like, all right, what's the obsession? And I love to travel too, but he's like on a mission to go see all these things. And I loved what he said, because he said, you know what? God went to all this trouble to create all these beautiful places. The least I could do is care enough to try to go see it. Yeah. And he knows I'm not going to see everything. Yeah. But hey, if he went to all this trouble to create this for my joy, all of our joy, the least I could do is try. Love it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try with you. Let's go see more.
So that makes me think, I'm really curious, talking about like places you want to see, things you want to do. Do you have a bucket list?
You know what? I have written bucket lists before. Yeah. And I wouldn't say I have one exactly like that so I can picture the specific one because gosh, I have so many notes in my phone and here and there, but I'm a list writer and I do when things come up that it's like, oh, I want to do that. I, you know, kind of make either a mental note or I do have a lot of notes in my phone. Yeah. So I guess that is a bucket list. Yeah. I mean, I'm very much a dreamer. Yep. You know, my 3-step process in the book is dream, believe, create. So I'm all into helping women realize that it all begins with a dream. You know, the bucket list. You've got to imagine what you want to create, have, do, see. And then you've got to believe in yourself and your people enough to like believe that it's possible. Mm-hmm. And then you got to go create it. Yeah. You know, some of that is a formula, a mix of getting to work to do it, but also trusting, you know, having faith and trust. That's a lot of the belief part. Anyway, so I'm a big dreamer. And so I do have a lot of things I want to do and accomplish. And writing a book was just one of the things.
This is on my bucket list. Write a book. I haven't done it. Maybe it's not my season yet. Yeah. But it
wasn't actually top of the list for me. You know, my daughter wrote a book before I ever did. Oh, wow. And it wasn't necessarily something I was going to do at all for a long time. I wanted to do Pretty Sisters and get that out, but more in a playful, fun way, like the cruise and all the fun things. Yeah. But I decided to write the book. I was telling you this earlier when the Mean Girls movie sequel came out again last year. Mm-hmm. And I went and saw it. And I just was like, oh my gosh, girls need to be kind. Girls are not mean. And it's so much better if we could have a different philosophy surrounding this. And I care enough that I'm going to put it all down in writing and,
I love that.
and put it out there, because I just want, if I can make a tiny dent in the world of helping girls see our superpowers differently and how we can unite together and support one another. And really the concept that I would love for people to gain from this too is understanding that when someone shines, it does not take away our light. It makes us all collectively shine brighter, and that we can celebrate each other's accomplishments. And in a world where we're all on social media, and I hear this all the time, people complaining or even talking to their daughters about or feeling bad that other people are posting all their happy, good moments. And I kind of think, why wouldn't they be? Like, why do we care that they're doing that? Right. Yes, they are. And that's okay, because everyone can put their best foot forward. And
that
we all
doesn't
do.
Take it away from you. I mean, it's like you said, it's like live from a place of abundance, not scarcity.
Yes.
Like, let's all.
And if somebody's posting their amazing, photos on their trip, can't we just be excited for them? Yeah. That they... And have that perspective of knowing, they had that really good day. Of course, everybody's having their bad days. Why do we have to harp on that so much, that they've put their best foot forward? Why can't we be inspired? Let's be inspired. And let's now say, okay, that trip looked amazing, so now I'd like to do it too. And I see that that's possible. Yeah,
that's interesting, because social media, right? Like, it's tricky. But, some people say, it's not real. These people just put their happy stuff. And I was at a retreat once, and there was this woman, her name's Allie Edwards. She's she kind of does narrative through photography. Mm-hmm. And she said, it's not that I don't have heart. It's that I choose to see through the lens of joy. Yeah. And I thought, that's what I do. Gosh, we all have heart and we all have pain, but we choose to live through the lens of joy. Right. I just love the way she reframed that. And I think reframing is such a big part of the language we use. Like when you said about Mean Girls, I've never seen the movie either. Mm-hmm. But even if there's a good message, it's let's look at it through a different lens. Let's think about language and
how important and meaningful or powerful language is.
So what's next? I want to do if you're in Maine, will you come to my house and do a book reading?
Yes, I would love to. In fact, I have in Utah, my girlfriends and close community are doing this in their book group. And so I
would love to host.
In fact, the reason
but I'll just invite people. Yes, to my house.
Yes, I would love to. I would love to. In fact, the reason I have to fly home tomorrow and end my trip short is I'm speaking at another friend's event about it. So that is kind of the next thing, is to promote a book. I'm learning as I go, but I need to be speaking and talking, and it's a little bit uncomfortable, or it's work to do that. But again, I think I know I care about the message enough that if women will think pretty and be more positive and be happier and claim that joy that I believe that they can claim through some of this messaging, then I'm more than willing to, fly home early to go speak or all the different things that I'll do to get the message out. But I do have a lot of ideas as far as the what's next. And I'm also in no particular time. I guess I've learned enough in my age to not put too much pressure on myself. And so I'm letting it unfold as I can.
Have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I can get in my head and get into business mode of I've got to do this. And then it's or I can, sit by the pool for a minute, enjoy my kids. I don't know. So don't hold me to when it all will happen. I guess I'm taking the liberty of my own sweet time. But I do have the Pretty Sister Cruise. You need to come on that. Are you a cruiser or not? Some people are and some people aren't.
So I'm not a cruiser, but I do make exceptions. I've been on a music cruise. It was awesome. Yeah. And, I told you. So last night, my son Peyton got home from work at 11:30 night. He's working for a baseball team, and I got him a bite to eat, and then I went upstairs and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to at least flip through this. And I did. And it's 12:15. And then I'm like, I need to get on the website just because I go down rabbit holes, not because I felt like I just show up with that. I know you don't care. And then I saw the cruise. I'm like, oh, maybe I need to go on the cruise. Yes. And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
It's going to be magical because I'm envisioning It's similar to the first cruise that we did, where we had almost 100 women to come together. Just friends that my sisters and I invited, and all of these women showed up. It was so fun, and we just played.
Yeah.
And we did some special ritual things that I share about in the book that we thought were meaningful, and they were so meaningful and life-changing. And it's a lot of play and fun and just a break from life, but just truly getting to see the power of sisterhood. And whether you have your own girl group of friends, bring your whole group, or if you're looking for friends, the magic happens when you just take time out and you spend a couple days with powerful women, like-minded, connected women.
Yeah. Put yourself in the environment.
Yes.
You know, I think that's important. I love that you said if you're looking for friends, because I think the other message is we sit here and say, oh my gosh, we have these like really strong relationships, and is a recognition that not everybody has that.
No.
Especially I think we're at a time, I think post-COVID, I think social media, all of these things, that there's a lot of loneliness in the world right now. So again, like thinking about our talents, one of the talents is reaching across, connecting. And I think my message to people, you know, listening is, I think relationships are so important, and it's okay if you don't have strong ones right now, and to think about like, what can you do? Like, can you go on a cruise, or can you become part of a book club, or how do you begin to put yourself out there and know? I mean, one of the things, you know, I take nuggets, and one of my nuggets from you 20 years ago was like, we go through seasons. So you might not be in a season of abundance right now, or having a lot of friends. And like, I think it's really important to remember, like, it's ebb and flow, and that will come.
Yeah, it will. It will come. And as long as you have a growth mindset, there's a lot you can do to change your circumstances. And you can learn, you can learn anything on YouTube these days, right? Online. Like, we have so much information at our fingertips. So we can learn, and you can learn a lot from this book, but there's so much we can always do to create. And it just takes work and putting yourself out there. So if you're looking for connection and friendship, come on the cruise. I would say read the book, come with your friends. And also, I realistically know that I can't be best friends with everybody. You know, so I'm not trying to do that, because we can't. This is the other thing I say with social media is, and I tell my girls this when they've had issues of seeing things and feeling sad because they're left out. And the truth is, you can't be invited to everything. You can't be everywhere. You cannot do everything. And people are allowed to have their friendships, and they're allowed to have their fun. And you are too, so you can go create yours. And so in that same vein, like, I can't be best friends with everyone. And I'm showing you what friendship looks like and what it can be. But I want you to go make your friends, you know? I mean, the cruise is a time to come together with a lot of women. But my hope, too, would be to see in the future lots of groups of pretty sisters and friendship sparking all over the world, and people learning how to take these principles and create their own group of friends. Because we can all be friendly and sisters as a united sisterhood, and we can all be pretty sisters for sure. But I want you to experience, I want all girls to experience the closeness of smaller groups of friends as well.
For sure.
And so I would love to see that popping up all over. And I'm still trying to figure out exactly the right forms and format for that. But I just know that friendship is a superpower.
It really is.
And it can be such a gift of joy and solidarity, and, you know, so many things that are talked about in the book. And I want women to experience that and to use it more as a strength that they can cultivate to bring more joy in their life.
Well, I feel like today was such a blessing. I'm so happy that you responded and were like, come to the cabin. And like, it's just like, I feel like I saw you yesterday, and I know I didn't.
Yes, so, I know. Over a decade. It's crazy. Isn't it so fun to reconnect?
So fun to reconnect.
Thank you so much for this conversation. And pretty sisters, go reconnect with your friends. If there's somebody that you're thinking of that you could serendipitously have a conversation or a reconnection and have the kind of joy that we're sparking and that we've created today, I would challenge you to make that call or send that text. I think you had sent a message to me through Instagram. And thank goodness, I don't always, a lot of times when I'm here at the cabin, I disconnect or I'm not on my phone, but I saw it because I believe this was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And then we allowed it to happen. So you can do that too. Even if you reach out and send a text to thank somebody, that can make their day for the role that they've played in your life, or somebody you admire that you've been maybe nervous to reach out to and connect to. Give it a shot, shoot your shot, and do what you can to create more in your relationships. All right, so thank you again. Thank you all for tuning in and listening. You are very, very pretty, and you are worth all the joy that you can find and cultivate out there, so go do it. And thank you for tuning in. If you liked this, or if you heard something that resonated, do share it. Share it with somebody else, or write a positive review. If you do that, it helps us to get the word out there more with others, so I appreciate that. And stay tuned for next week. Until then, stay pretty.
Stay pretty.
We'll see ya.
Thanks, Callie.